my fantasy football friends. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty Football channel here, showing up. Week 3 is in the books. Monday Night Football just happened last night, and we are here to break down all the news, all the storylines. We got some trade discussion for you today. We got some buys, we got some sells. We got a great show planned for you today. Of course, I am Stash, Tony here, your host, and I'm bringing to you with Greg, the Velociraptor. How you doing today, my friend?
Ready to break down week 3.
Yeah, man,
Tony, how was your fantasy weekend? How did you come out?
I did okay. I did pretty well. In my hometown redraft leagues, my work league and my family league. I won in both of those, so that feels real good. And this was a tight week. I felt like I had so many games that were decided by small margins. I wanted to shout out there, man. If you won or lost a game this week by like 5 points or less in any of your leagues, just drop it in the comments. Just say, man, nail biter or something, or give me a thumbs up, because I had so many close games decided this week, like a bunch of them. Did you feel like you were in the same way?
No, man, I did not.
Yeah.
I was boat raced a bunch of times. This was my worst week of the season. I went 100. Last week I went a touch over 500, and then week 1 I smashed. So I'm still through 3 weeks in a significantly up position overall. But I had a tough time in my losses. I got blown out, and most of my wins were blowouts too. So that was, I didn't have anything on the line on Monday Night Football except an office pool, which I pulled out. But the rest of it, none of my fantasy games were on the line last night.
Right.
We're recording on Tuesday.
Well, so week 3 in the books. It was an exciting week. I really enjoyed getting the chance to sit down and watch some football this weekend. So what are your big takeaways? What did you see out there that you want to talk to our listeners about?
Man, it is interesting to see the top redraft running backs all failing a little bit, and the top redraft wide receivers mostly paying off. I think that has been an interesting outcome. Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, that's 3 of your top 4, right? Dalvin Cook, that's 4 of your top 5 running backs by ADP have been pretty bad.
Yes.
Actually, Najee Harris was 6, Joe Mixon was 7, Alvin Kamara was 8. Like, Jonathan Taylor is the only one, and he hasn't been great, but he's the only top redraft running back who has been smashing. Cooper Kupp has been amazing. Justin Jefferson has had 2 down weeks. Jamar Chase, up and down. Devontae Adams saved a bad week with a touchdown. But so the top redraft wide receivers, Diggs, another one, have been pretty good. Kelsey and Andrews have, on balance, been excellent. And your top quarterbacks have been excellent. So it turns out that the running back first build has been really struggling this year. If you built first through the other positions and then went bargain hunting at running back, and you're sitting on guys like CEH, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, Kareem Hunt,
yeah.
Nick Chubb. So like the middle group or the late group. And that goes, obviously, we are a dynasty show, but when you're setting your lineups, in season, I like to go back to those redraft principles. How do you construct that lineup? And having your assets in the running back position has just not worked out for most people this year so far. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's been a storyline I've heard talked about from other mediums, is that the whole league is just so wide receiver centric anymore. And majority of my dynasty leagues I play in are 3 wide. So like, and all of this just means, it goes through the wide receiver right now. I think most underdog sports, I don't play on there, but from what I understand, most of those are 3 wide. I think you're in a few of those leagues.
I played a bunch of underdog best ball. Yeah.
And those are all 3 wide though. Is that correct?
Yes, all 3 wide. And I know most of the leagues we play in together, it's 3 wide and then it's like 2 or 3 flexes, and it's PPR. And you, especially in a full PPR, you just go, okay, I need 2 running backs, and that's it. And then I can just load out that wide receiver position, and you don't need to be investing. And the wide receiver position, like those assets stay fresh. So if you're filling out 3 starting wide receiver spots and 3 starting flex spots with wide receivers, and they're all good and young, then like they're going to be on your roster in 4 or 5 years if you want them to be. And that means you can keep adding pieces to that roster around them, and you're not having to replace pieces that are aging out. And you just have to find some way to get by at running back every year.
Yep, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that's been the strategy. If you followed the videos through the whole summer, lots of leagues where I've stockpiled 23 first-round picks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, and then had a nice, young wide receiver core with 5 or 6, a quality receiver assets that are 25 or younger. That's the build for Dynasty for me right now. You said you've been pretty positive this season so far. Unfortunately, I have not been. I've been losing a lot. But again, if you watch most of my stuff we've been posting, it's to be expected. There's a lot of leagues that I went into it with the intention of losing year one that I think have a lot of upside moving forward.
Well, I know you did that. You saw sort of a market opportunity in getting into some of these leagues that have multi-year buy-ins, so you lock in for several years and you get in and just sort of pay the freight year one ahead of the big 2023 class, and take the discount on next year's first-round picks. And that's what we've done in our 24/7 league. I have a couple of leagues where I did that as well, but in a lot of my older leagues, I'm competitive in all those leagues, and I don't have old teams. That's sort of been my go-to is, I like those 23 picks, but I'm not willing to lose now to get there. What I want to do is win now with a young roster and have my picks next year, so that I'm going to have a roster that contended for a title this year, and all the players are back and none of them are real old. And then I'm adding to that a first-round pick and a second-round pick, and maybe 2 second-round picks from that 23 class. And then I got my 24 picks on board still. And I just keep adding players to a roster that stays young. And then when it's time for those players to start getting old, maybe I'll trade out of everything, pick a class, trade everything all at once, hit the bottom for 1 year, and try to rebuild a window that stays open for 6 or 7 years. I think that's kind of how I like to do it.
I've seen you do it. I've been in some leagues with this guy for 3-4 seasons now, and he does do that. I've seen it. It's strong, and it makes it hard to compete on the long timeline. All right. What players impressed you this week? Individual boys out there.
Well, I think that the news in Dynasty Land and maybe in Fantasy Land is the Trevor Lawrence breakout, especially if you're a Superflex player. I think if you are in a 1 quarterback redraft, it's still safe to treat him like a streamer. But if you are in a Superflex, and if you are in any form of Dynasty, I think this is now a guy who is a first-round startup pick in your Superflex Dynasty leagues. He's worth a very high 23 first and a low 23 first right now for me, at least.
Agree. Yep.
So you're going to a pick where you can go get a Stroud or Young, and a late pick to get the running back 4 or 5 kind of thing. That minimum, and then maybe like a veteran receiver like Van Jefferson. Like I think 3 pieces to get Trevor Lawrence now. I think he's a legitimate stud. I made a deal in one of my leagues in the off season to bring him in with a pick for Dak Prescott. And
that's beautiful.
It's so beautiful
Love
right
that.
now.
Love that. Yeah.
And it felt I was the defending champion in that league. And
it's actually baby. That's how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 32 team league, and I'm thinking, man, am I punting my title defense? but it's paid off already. And even setting the injury aside, even if Dak was healthy and playing well, Lawrence would be worth more than him already, just on the basis of this performance with the youth and the draft capital and the weapons around him and the health.
Yeah.
Right, like all of that stuff, right? Even if Dak comes back in week 5 and looks fantastic, you're gonna want you would have to pay up with Dak to get Trevor Lawrence now, and then I got a first round pick with it is what I got in that league. So,
yeah, welcome to the party, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if I know he plays for the Jaguars, if you guys haven't gotten a chance, get out there and at least like YouTube the play-by-plays of the games, and boy, just watch Lawrence. He's throwing lasers out there. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I took away is he's just so accurate and so powerful throwing the ball. He looks the part, standing there in the pocket, 6'6". He is.
I like the way he works his progression too. He is spreading the ball around. He's getting use out of Zay Jones, out of Marvin Jones, he's resurrecting Evan Ingram's career. Christian Kirk is turning into a star. He's using his running backs effectively.
James Robinson looked like he never left, man. He is just doing it too. Sorry, I just throw him out there.
Yeah. He looks effective. I think Trevor Lawrence just has all of the look that you got out of Justin Herbert in year 2, that you got out of Josh Allen in year 3, right? Like this is him in year 3 saying, I am here for a decade. Jaguars fans rejoice. They deserve it. And you want the pieces around him. You want the young pieces around him, and go get him. If you've got him in your super flex spot, you are golden for a very long time.
All right, so Mr. Broncos, I got to ask you, what's the deal with Russell Wilson, man? What are we doing with him? Do you expect him to bounce back? How are we feeling about Russ right now in the Broncos offense?
Death by 1,000 cuts. Death by 1,000 cuts, right? So, there are a bunch of things going on here. First of all, San Francisco has an outstanding defense.
So good.
They really, really are good. And so week 1, week 2, they had 12 and a half penalties a game on average. And then week 3, they kind of cleaned that up, but they ran into a good defense. So there's some stuff that's like that. But also they are not in sync. And I think lack of preseason games hurt, lack of, there some lack of timing. They are not on the same page with the wide receivers and the quarterback yet. There's in on an option route when the quarterback throws out. There's a lot of that right now.
Yep.
I think that they will I think that they will very soon be better than this. And I think the second half of the season will be considerably better. But I'm bailing in my redrafts, and I think you just have to ride him. I don't think it's time to panic sell in your Superflex dynasties.
Yeah.
But I also don't think you're gonna, if he's your quarterback 1, like you're gonna get quarterback 2 numbers for half a season here.
Do you think he's a 1 next week against the Raiders?
Just
next week alone.
They're so bad. He might be.
Yeah.
But the other thing is they've got to get something together with the secondary receivers. Like he and Judy are not on the same page, and he and Sutton are on the same page. Sutton is going to continue to dominate.
Yeah,
but they miss Tim Patrick so much right now.
They really do. It's amazing. That guy was, people wrote him off so much and left him for dead in a lot of drafts. And
they really miss him. He
would be so impactful for them right there. You need that. And I think Alberto has been kind of a disappointment. Like they're really no production from the tight end position at all. Javonte and Gordon both look good. Looks like they're picked up right where they left off.
Here's one more fantasy note. Melvin Gordon now has 3 fumbles in 3 weeks.
Does he really? Oh, I didn't even know that.
He got both of them back last night.
Okay,
Sunday night.
Sure.
Okay. So he had one of the 2 fumbles on the Monday Night Football going into the end zone on the 1-yard line, right? He and Javonte both fumbled from the 1-yard line in week 1 against Seattle, right? If they go in on either one of those, they win the game. So that's a game-losing fumble. He fumbled twice on Sunday night, and both were recovered by the team. He recovered one of them. They lose that game if he loses either of those fumbles.
Yep, yeah, they do.
He is so close to losing his share of the job, I think. And Mike Boone was playing the obvious passing downs, which we had not seen before.
Yep.
So I think Melvin Gordon getting pushed out is a possibility. Now, they did give him the goal line carry for the go-ahead touchdown after both fumbles. But, like, one more fumble, you could see him losing all of his work.
Sure.
I just throw that out there.
Yep.
Your bargain hunters who have had Melvin Gordon as a cheap running back too. There's some risk there. I think that's Broncos fantasy. What about you?
Yeah, I think you covered the Broncos well. One of my notes from week 3 I want to touch on, and this is from Thursday night. Boy, the Steelers, man. What happened to our beautiful Steelers? We thought it was bad with Ben, and it's pretty much been worse with Mitch. It's got to be. I know Tomlin has come out and said he's not trying to put Pickett in, but if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm definitely calling Pickett out pretty loud, pretty clear, because Claypool's been useless. Pickens has been pretty much useless. Freiermuth didn't have a catch till late in the fourth quarter this past week, and we were just talking to him about how safe he feels. Najee has been a shell of what we were expecting. Deontay's still there, but they have to move the ball somehow. And I'm not trying to say Mitch looked terrible. He looked serviceable, I suppose, but it just feels like the Steelers are just like, just short, just a little short in every facet of the game, especially without TJ Watt. It's like their pass rush is just barely not good enough. Their offensive line is just barely not good enough. Their quarterback play is just like they're slightly below average in every element of football, and it shows on the field. The Browns pushed them around, and Jacoby Brissett was able to do what he wanted with them. So I'm scared for the Steelers. I'm hoping Pickett can get in there and resurge this offense.
I think they are set up. They've got a home game against the Jets next week, right? So that is. Oh, see, I was going to say that's the kind of game where if you don't go, if Trubisky plays bad and they lose, then he loses his job.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, if you're at Tampa, then you're like, okay, well, they're going to get killed and nobody's going to blame him, right? Or whatever. If you're at Kansas City, then you're going to get killed and nobody's going to blame. They're home for the Jets, and the Jets score a lot of points, and the Steelers' defense is bad, and the Jets' defense is bad. So you're sort of expected to keep up.
That high-octane Jets offense led by Joe Flacco.
We may get we may get Zach Wilson this week.
Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know he was that
close. It's going to be this week or next. He's very close. But so yeah, if they get boat raced by the Jets, he's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his job on the field in the second half if they're down 28-10 or whatever, right? Which they could end up being if they can't move the football.
Yep.
George Pickens is a freak. Chase Claypool is a freak. Deontay Johnson is wonderful. They should be better than they are.
They should be. They have tons of talent. The line is a little lackluster, but I would think that one of the best head coaches in the league, like Tomlin, could kind of scheme around that a little bit. There's only so much you can do to disguise a lackluster O-line, but I still expect more from Pittsburgh than what we've seen from them, and the defense is just nothing without TJ Watt, unfortunately. It's amazing how one player can make such a tremendous difference, but TJ Watt he makes that whole team go, really.
He really does. Yeah. He really does.
Boy, Jalen Hurts looked good. He might be the MVP of the league after 3 weeks, maybe.
Could be. Could very well be. Let's talk Mac Hollins. Believe?
Hollins, yeah.
Or don't believe. We talked about him on the waiver show last week.
We did. We touched on him, and I saw a lot of people picking him up across all my leagues. Well, he looked great. That final touchdown catch was really put a big exclamation point on what he was doing on the day, where he just leapt over top of his defender and caught it with almost no hassle. I thought that was really kind of exemplary of what he was doing all day, just jumping, just jumping over people.
He looks like a tight end. He is too physical for most cornerbacks.
He does. He's a top 20 receiver right now. I mean, what do you? It was great. The big question is, what do you do with him moving forward? Do you have the fortitude to start him in your cash lineups? So what's a
Yeah, he's a terrible. He's on a team with a terrible defense with a decent offense.
Yep.
And I think he is gonna have a big role in. I think that the one of the things you've seen is that they have a pretty limited group of people who catch the ball. The running backs don't seem to catch the ball much at all.
Yeah.
They have the two tight ends both get involved, and then it's three receivers, and that's it. And Renfro, I don't know where he is on the concussion protocol, but he was concussed last week.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's back next week, but I also don't know that Hunter Renfro, there's a guy who I'm scared for him, right? Like, where are the targets for him?
Yep.
I actually think Mac Hollins may crowd those out. In your deep leagues, he may be a guy you can start regularly, your very deep leagues, and I think he's worth rostering in 12-team redrafts for a week or two.
Yeah. Let him play out, see what he does.
See, I think he's interesting. It says 16 targets in the last 2 weeks, and if that keeps up, he has the athletic skill set to back that up if he's playing well. If he's earning it with like technique and catching the ball and stuff like that, right? Like maybe he just leveled up.
Yeah.
Let's talk injuries real quick.
Yep.
David Montgomery.
Monty, yeah, Khalil Herbert looks so dang good. So good for Khalil Herbert. I mean, even when Monty comes back, you got to be thinking that Herbert's gonna come in there and take a lot of the share of carries.
I agree.
Monty is says he's day to day. I wouldn't be surprised if they just rested him against the Giants, especially with the faith they probably have in Herbert. And I've heard good things about Tristan Ebner too, so I have to imagine this coaching staff is willing to rest Mr. Montgomery.
Okay.
Where you at with him?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I've also heard some good things about Darrington Evans, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, he's there too. Yep.
They claimed him on waivers and they seem to like him, so it wouldn't surprise me. And Montgomery's in his walk year, right? So as a dynasty asset, that's something to think about.
Mac Jones got
Michael Thomas. Yeah, Mac Jones. Mac Jones. I think he's going to miss some time. I don't really know.
He will. Yep. Mac's going to have to go of it. It's going to be Brian Hoyer in there, I think.
Can you play any Patriots?
Boy, I've been starting Hunter Henry just because I keep waiting. I keep thinking the talent's going to win out. I personally think Hunter Henry's a very talented football player.
I agree.
I'm hoping that they find a way to utilize him properly, at least in the red zone or something, but it's been sad. So the only one I'd be willing to start is Henry. I would probably throw out one of their RBs in a pinch, Harris or Stevenson if I had to. Beyond that, I'm not trying to start any receiver. Jacoby Myers, nothing like that.
Devontae Parker's 150 yards this week doesn't do anything for you with the quarterback change. You just can't.
Nope. Nelson Aguilar, he had that big game a couple weeks ago. Can't really do anything with that. That fumble he had too probably put him in the doghouse too. At the end of the game, Aguilar, he fumbled that one and pretty much threw the game away after that. Was Myers?
And what about
last week? I didn't realize that. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah.
What about the New Orleans receivers? Thomas, Landry both left the game. Doesn't look like a big deal, but Olave getting all of those targets. Do you think we're seeing a little bit of a changing of the guard there?
I think so. Olave is looking legit. I mean, legit for fantasy, legit for the NFL. He is. You have to imagine those guys, Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas, they're just in the room with a guy like Michael Thomas, or with a guy like Olave. That's where you see a lot of that rub off, from quality vets just teaching a talented young guy. I love to see that, and the sky's the limit with Olave right now. I think Jameis isn't afraid to just hyper target one receiver. We've seen that from him before,
Yep.
and Olave is basically you call him a must start? Is that fair to say? I think he's a must start right now.
I mean, it's pretty hard to bench a guy who's got 26 targets over the
Yeah,
last 2 weeks.
you have to have some pretty premium receivers on your team if you're not starting Olave in like a 3 receiver set fantasy league.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. But that is a bad team and a bad offense.
true, true.
And I think that's worth. Boy, that I thought they were going to be decent, and they are not.
No.
That division, everybody's struggled. The Bucks should walk away eventually, but boy, they're all bad until the Bucks get some receivers back. One last thing about sort of the overall week and state of the league.
What you got?
Tight end.
No.
The tight end landscape, I think we need to just touch on. Boy, it has been the two guys at the top, and then a bunch of randos, OJ Howard with 2 touchdowns 1 week. Njoku is one guy who was a mid-range tight end who had a huge week for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've seen Everett and Higbee pretty reliable, but most of this tight end landscape has been absolutely putrid.
Yes.
And I don't know what to make of it. Like, is it someplace where you want to be punting, or is it a place where you want to be investing up, almost at any cost? What are your thoughts on the tight end landscape?
Yeah, it's gross. You just throw anyone out there you want. In my redraft leagues, I just don't really mind who my tight end is. The biggest thing you can do is try to grab a guy who the team likes to use in the red zone, and it's going to be part of a higher scoring matchup. And assuming you don't have an Andrews or Kelsey, and just throw that guy out there, because the only thing that really matters in the tight end is, did your dude score a touchdown or not? That's it. That's like about the size of tight end right now.
Oh, I mean, I keep getting so much Albert O, so much Gesicki.
I like Goddard in the middle range.
Yes.
I like Gerald Everett to continue to be relevant. Hockenson should keep being. What do we do with Will Dissly? It's
but
nasty out there.
That Seattle thing, all 3 of those tight ends have been like somewhat relevant. Colby Parkinson's caught making big plays, but Noah Fant leads the tight end group in targets. Yep. I mean, you can't play any of them. You can hardly play anyone.
There's a name I want to throw out there since we're on tight end, and that is from last night's Monday Night Football. Dan Bellinger looks like he has just taken over tight end for the Giants, and
yes,
he's someone who he may not have this mega 22 season, but I can tell you right now, I'm looking for Bellinger in my drafts next year in the cheaper rounds. Maybe he doesn't land cheap if he finishes strong, but
he's very athletic.
He's very athletic. He's a beast out there. I really like him. I like Daboll utilizing his tight ends in that offense. Jones or otherwise from quarterback, don't really care. It's very unsettled at receiver. You could see a situation where Bellinger develops into the safest pass catching option for this team on the long-term scale. So if you're in a dynasty league right now, he's probably not on your wire, but I'd check, because if he is, I'd be throwing a bunch of fab to go get Bellinger. He's looking
good. That whole group of tight ends from rounds 3 and 4, there were a ton in this year's draft.
Yep.
Has been looking nice, I think. Jake Ferguson looked pretty nice last night as well. Jelani Woods had the breakout game. So that whole group, I think, has started to show why that's a position you can really address in those 3rd and 4th round draft picks in your rookie draft, especially if you've got a taxi squad. Get some of those guys every year and find a way to address the tight end position without having to invest in the tight end position.
It just feels bad trade for a tight end, especially if you're trading for like a Kelsey or an Andrews, yeah, but trading for one of these middle of the pack guys. I mean, we're talking about how interchangeable they are. If you have to give up like a real receiver, like a Rashod Bateman or someone to go get some random tight end,
that's Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, like that just feels bad, and that's a bad long-term investment for yourself. Don't try not to do that stuff, and take tight end darts. I like to.
Yes.
And if you're doing a 4 or 5 round rookie draft, just grab a tight end in the 4th or 5th round. Just, I like this guy or that guy. I mean, you could have taken a Likely or a Woods or a Bellinger or a Ferguson this year, and that's a nice little dart to have in your taxi.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, it's been a very, very rough start for the whole tight end position. I did like that call on Bellinger. He impressed me a little bit with his athleticism, so that was good to see.
All right, so
we got some trades, right?
Yeah, we got trades. I want to do a little trade review on the show today. So I asked for some user submissions. I've also made a couple trades myself, and Greg has made some trades as well. And we're going to talk about a couple of them. So first trade up is Mr. Velociraptor over here traded away Trey Lance, and he brought in Justin Fields straight up. Defend your trade, sir.
Oh, goodness. So I went out and proactively offered Trey Lance for any 23 firsts.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that counter back, and I just hit smash accept.
Love it.
I still believe in Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it might turn out that both of these players are bad, and the thing I should have done is try to get a pick to get out of that pair. But between the two of them, that was an easy pick for me. I was moving all my Trey Lance shares in the offseason. I had this one share that I picked up in a dispersal draft. And I had been trying to trade my Trey Lance shares for Trevor Lawrence, or failing that, Justin Fields. So to be able to do that after the injury felt great to me. Look, Justin Fields is 2-1 with no help, and he runs the football. He's going to get some stuff figured out, unless he just can't throw the football. And there doesn't seem to be any reason for that to be true.
There's no reason to believe Lance throws the ball that much better than Fields right now. So
no,
it's kind of a push in that realm.
What is Trey Lance worth?
That's a great question. What is Trey Lance worth?
What is Trey Lance worth? Question. I mean, I want a quarterback who plays.
Yep.
I want a quarterback who plays.
Yep.
And I want a quarterback who can increase in value, right? I mentioned this a couple of, maybe I guess it was last week. Zach Wilson is a guy who, look, you could go trade for him and he could come in and stink, and they could go replace him in next year's draft. These things happen, right? That is one of the possibilities. But one possibility with Zach Wilson is that he comes in, throws for 303 in his first week back because Pittsburgh is bad and Garret Wilson is good.
Yep. And
immediately his value is through the roof, right? Doubles in a week. Justin Fields has that opportunity all season, right? All he needs is the one day when he looks like he can throw, and he also runs for 50 and a touchdown that day and is a quarterback 4, and people are going to go gaga. Trey Lance has no chance to do any of that.
It's true.
So that to me, and then next offseason, for sure, Trey Lance's value is going to be constrained by news and unreliable reporting and all this stuff. And you're not going to know what it is until we actually see it on the field in week 1. And so I think there's so much safety with better upside with Fields. But to me, that's the deal to make.
I don't have anything to add. Give me Fields over Lance. Just give me the healthy player over the hurt one, 100%. Another trade from Mr. Greg here. We got Marcus Mariota. He trades away in exchange for a 2024 second-round pick. This is actually a league we played in together. I saw this go through. I really like this for Greg here. I like selling Mariota for a pick. The second-round picks in 23 and 24 both are about to be pretty juicy, guys. As much as you can go out there and get them, that's probably going to be a worthwhile investment for yourself. And Mariota, I mean, with these players who seem like mostly one-year rentals, anytime you can get out of them for a top 20-something pick, that's usually worthwhile. That's something you're probably trying to do. If you have the luxury of not needing Mariota. Yeah,
that's the key. That was exactly what I was about to say is so I've got Mahomes and Lawrence, and I've got Mahomes and Rodgers as my starters in that league, although I actually have pivoted into Lawrence over Rodgers at this point. I may try to move Rodgers. And then I got Mac Jones behind that. And So Mariota was entirely surplus, and his value is gonna expire. So I put him out on the market, and this owner came asking. I actually already own his 23 seconds, so I couldn't even ask for that.
Been there, yeah.
So I don't love trading a quarterback who's starting now in a super flex and playing well, by the way. Mariota's playing well. And even though I don't think he's going to be the Falcons starting quarterback, he could be somebody else's starting quarterback next year too, right? So he might have longer term value. I don't love trading that for a pick 2 years down the road, but I did want to move out of him. You can't keep older players who are on your bench who still have value around and just let the value leach out of them day by day by day. So
I agree.
I felt good about it. But on the other hand, I felt good about it for this other team too that needed a quarterback. That was a perfectly good win-win value to me.
Yeah, hey, there you go. I was looking at your Taxi Poacher League squad, the one where you made that, and boy, you're just so stacked in that league, man. You look really good.
Yeah, I needed a little bit of roster space there, or I was going to end up with an ugly cut like Laviska Shenault exactly when you don't want to cut him. Mm-hmm. Especially when some of these IR stashes that you've just been throwing on there every week. When you get that week where everybody's everybody's healthy that 1 week, and all of a sudden you make a cut you don't like. And so I like to think about that a week or two out. That's what prompted me to put Mariota on the market in the first place.
Yeah, roster spots are mostly irrelevant in dynasty leagues, mostly because oftentimes you're playing with like a 16 bench or something mega like that. Especially in established
in that
leagues,
we played start 12 with a 12 bench, so it's a little tighter.
Yeah, those are relevant roster spots. When roster spots are relevant to you and you can open one up, that's nice. That's good sprinkles to have. Moving on to the next trade here, we have shout out to my dude Widowmaker87. I'm in a couple leagues with this guy as a listener. Really good fantasy mind right here in Widowmaker87. He acquires Mark Andrews in a 14 Dynasty Superflex tight end premium league, and he trades away Dalton Schultz and Jahan Dotson, the rookie sensation. Who do you like in this one, Andrews or the pair?
Andrews, and it's not that close, but it's really not that close.
It's not.
Andrews is just so great.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Schultz would have been the tight end 6 coming into the season, I think. So he's not an irrelevant piece, and Dotson has completely broken out. 2 catches on 8 targets last week wasn't great, but 8 targets again. Like he keeps. Jahan Dotson is going to be a very good player in this league. Yeah, and it just doesn't matter, right? You can't replace Mark Andrews.
You can't in a 14 versus a 12 team league. Like when you're in these wider beyond 12 team leagues, guys, I'll tell you right now, the elite talent at the top of each positional grouping is even more valuable than in other leagues. So like this is already, I would take Andrews even in a 10 or 12 team league, but since it's a 4 team, Andrews is going to make such more impact in your roster because scoring generally from team to team is going to be lower in all of your individual matchups in a 14 team league. So Andrews, he just accounts for so much more of your total points each week. You talk about safety. Did Schultz get an extension? I don't remember. I feel like he did not.
No, he's on the tag.
He's on the tag, yeah. And then Andrews did get a big extension. Is that correct? That sounds.
Yes, yeah. Andrews did get a big extension. Yeah. Schultz is on the tag.
Yep.
I don't feel great about Schultz's future, right?
I don't either.
I feel. Look, he's a good player. He's somebody else will pay him, I think, is what is going to end up happening, right? And he will be involved, and he will not go away. So you're not getting a nothing target, but he's probably going to have to switch teams, switch quarterbacks, and you never know how that goes. And he's just not a difference maker.
Yep.
He's reliable. And Dotson, even if he's a difference maker, he's a difference maker at wide receiver.
So it's not that, yeah.
It just if I'm competing now, I have to have Mark Andrews. There's no way that if I'm competing now, going from Andrews to Schultz, even if Dotson was filling a huge hole for me, getting the extra piece, they're both starting. Doesn't matter. And then if I'm rebuilding,
Still rather have Andrews.
I'm moving Andrews and not getting picks. Now, if it's Kelsey, then and you're rebuilding, then I start to understand this trade, right? But Andrews is too young to be doing that. So to me, it doesn't really make sense. How old is Mark Andrews? Is he's 1 year older than he's 27.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So he's 1 year older than Dalton Schultz.
So if I put into this trade, if I added in a 23 second and a 24 second, 2 second round picks into the pair side, do you still want Andrews, or you take the picks and the players, the package?
No, I'll still take Andrews. If you made it a 23 first, then I'm starting to look at the pieces, look at my roster, think about it. But it's a full first round pick away.
Yeah, I would agree. With the 23 first on the Dotson side, I'd still probably take Andrews. But
I would probably take Andrews, but if I were rebuilding, you could convince me to go the other way. I mean, the other thing is if I'm competing, Dalton Schultz doesn't do it for me as an Andrews replacement, and if I'm not competing, I don't want Dalton. Then I'll just go naked. Just I'll go Brevin Jordan at the tight end position for now, right? You know what I mean? And I'd like a second rebuilding piece. That to me doesn't fit great.
Okay, moving on. Next trade up is from King MJB. This is a guy I met this offseason. He's a listener and a good friend. He and I, we mutually manage a high buy-in underdog fantasy league that we drafted together. MJB, he's a good guy. He's a good guy to talk to as well. He's a smart man. But we have on one side of this trade is Davis Mills, Dallas Goedert, Odell Beckham Jr., and a 23 fourth round pick. And on the other side of this trade is Trey Lance and Chiefs tailback Isaiah Pacheco. Who you got?
I have the Trey Lance side unless this is a 2 tight end premium.
This is a single tight end with, I think it's traditional tight end scoring. So about the lowest tight end value you're going to see.
Then that's an easy Trey Lance.
Okay.
I mean, in a 2 tight end with a tight end premium, we play in a couple of those together.
We do, yeah.
Dallas Goedert's the best player in this deal. In any other scoring and lineup format, it's Lance. As out as I am on him, is still the most valuable player in this deal.
Yeah, Pacheco the fourth and Odell are all kind of a wash. I like to, whenever I'm reviewing a trade for myself, in all my trades, I try to identify all the pieces in the deal that are basically worthless and just set them aside, and then look at the trade from a relevant pieces standpoint. So it's Mills and Goddard for Lance with that in mind, and I'm not saying that the other things can't be relevant, but as it stands today, the Pacheco and Odell in a fourth are not. They carry no value, basically.
I have Odell in one roster, and it's like, oh, why are you clogging the spot?
Yeah, Odell's barely worth the roster spot at this point.
I can't. No, you can't. You absolutely can't cut him. But he
can't trade him either.
You can't do any, and you can't trade him.
Yeah,
right.
So
exactly.
What do you do with him?
Right. It's frustrating.
Yep. Give me Lance as well. I'm a little bit higher on Lance than Greg is, and I love Dallas Goedert. Mills, from all the love he experienced this offseason, I feel like it's been a rocky start for Davis Mills. Those first 3 games, he has not been, this rock that I think he was being portrayed as.
Yep, they're 2-1, and heading to they're 0-2-1, and they have their first round pick and Cleveland's pick.
Yep,
they're going to get a quarterback.
Yep.
And then, unlike, say, Marcus Mariota, who they could go draft a quarterback and he could go somewhere else, Davis Mills is going to be locked in as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he could just be, Bryce Young's backup next year potentially.
He's going to get Gardner Minshew.
Yep, it's a great comp. Yep, it's a great comp. Davis Mills is probably the next Gardner Minshew. And I like Minshew, and I like Mills, but I mean,
yes,
but they're both.
Oh,
bleh.
I was actually wanting to bring up Gardner Minshew right here.
What you got?
So we talked about Trey Lance last week, and then since then I made this trade, and now we've got some more Trey Lance trades on the board. I think one thing that is very possible certainly one possibility is they commit completely to Lance. A second possibility that's very strong is they commit to somebody else.
Tom Brady.
But Tom Brady, a first round
he
pick.
Could walk, man. He could walk inside. That's what I'm terrified for as a Lance owner. Is Brady?
There's so many.
Well,
but it could be Brady. But like, I really do think, you never know who's going to force their way out.
Sure.
And San Francisco is going to look golden, right? That could be Lamar Jackson, right? Or you never know who's going to decide to move on. Surprisingly, like maybe Detroit decides to draft somebody high. I don't know, because they got a lot of draft capital. Maybe Jared Goff is just free, and they look at him and go, okay, with all the pieces around him, that's a championship quarterback in this. There's a lot of things, sort of the unknown. That's definitely possible. But I think a third possibility that is maybe equally strong to the other two, sort of like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 odds, is we get something like we got with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, where it's like, it's a competition, and we hope the young guy plays well and wins the job.
Yep. And
is our quarterback for a long time. But we are also totally willing to let the cheaper veteran win the job and just be done with it. And Gardner Minshew is a name who is free, who I think would land very well in San Francisco. And Marcus Mariota is the other one.
I think Minshew starts games again in the NFL. I agree with you. I've always thought that about him. So,
and I think the 2023 San Francisco 49ers would be a better team with Gardner Minshew than Trey Lance.
Ooh, spicy. I don't know about that. That's interesting, though.
I don't think that. Oh, really? I think looking at what Trey Lance looked like and assuming he can't get better not playing.
Yeah.
So it won't be a bit better than that when he comes back. I actually don't think it's spicy at all. I think clearly
it's a little spicy. It's Gardner Minshew versus a top 3 draft.
He's very good.
Yeah.
If I said that about Zach Wilson, people wouldn't bat an eyelash. And Trey Lance has proven nothing.
That's true.
And I don't know, man. I think that there are a bunch of these kinds of mid-tier quarterbacks who could come in and would have a very good chance of just beating him out for that job if it's really a competition and they really just want to win games.
Sure.
All right. So let's move on to the next deal.
Yeah. Next trade. So this is a Stash X deal right here. So I have been squatting on Deshaun Watson in one of my leagues for a while, kind of fishing around for a deal. And I made a deal of Watson selling him away for Matt Ryan to refill my Superflex spot. My second quarterback at the time was Lance, who I traded away. And then Christian Kirk and a 23 first. So Watson in exchange for Ryan, Kirk, and a 23 first. This was made right before the week 2 games, right before Ryan had that really rough game. But Kirk exploded, so I felt good about the deal. This first is it's a playoff contenders first. By no means the favorite, but an above average team in the league. I like it. Well, yeah, give me your thoughts though.
I mean, if you've been squatting on Watson, wanting to trade him, waiting for time, and needed a quarterback now because you had an opportunity to trade. Well, you only had 2, and then one of them got hurt.
I was rocking Mahomes, Lance, and Watson as my 3 QBs, and it was a 2 tight end league. I traded Lance away for Mark Andrews straight up. And
that's brilliant.
In that same vein, and the only reason I did that was because I had this trade on the table as well. So in order to refill my Superflex spot was
you got Andrews in a 2 tight end league for Lance straight up,
straight across 1 for 1.
That's theft.
It was about an hour before Lance got hurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was
Never
right
mind.
For week 2. Okay. It is theft. I agree, though. It was
still theft. But, yeah.
But then I did this to refill my Superflex spot and bring in Christian Kirk. I'm pushing in this league. I'm trying to win this league.
Yeah, it is a move you are sort of forced to do because you don't have a second quarterback in your put. I don't love giving up Watson for this little because you know what he's going to be. I don't like having him because I don't want to root for him.
I don't either. I'm a Browns fan.
I know. I don't like, but like also he's worth. But you're kind of getting 2 firsts worth of value, so I think I think you're in pretty good shape there, right? Ryan's going to play for you every week. Kirk's going to play for you every week. So I think it's good.
I just threw this out here as like, for all the Watson owners that are out there that are still trying to be competitive. If you're trying to sell Watson midseason, this is pretty much what I'd be looking for. Is this gives you all encompassing, right? This gives you a reloaded QB who may not just be a rental. He could play in 24 or 23 potentially. I don't know. I think Matt Ryan's under contract for 23 right now. And then you get a nice skill position every week starter, and then you get a 23 first. Like if you're gonna sell Watson midseason and try to get stuff for him, like this is probably about as good as you're gonna hope to get from.
You got a 25-year-old wide receiver too, and a first-round pick in an excellent draft.
Yeah,
I think I mean, if I were in your shoes, I personally would have been trying to I'm okay with it because I love Christian Kirk, but I personally would have been trying to get like a young quarterback I'm interested in.
Oh, is it puppy?
That's my puppy. She's today's her 14th birthday, so she has a little constant cough. But yeah, so I like Zach Wilson, like moving in that direction, and like maybe without the pick because I really like what you've done here. I like the fact that Kirk is a player I'm very into, and you got a first round pick, so good for you.
Yeah, I like.
What else? What's our next one?
Next one is actually, this is a live trade. This is a hot trade I have pending. I have in my inbox right now, sitting there, in a league where I am competitive. I am hopefully I'm pushing to win the league. I'd like to. This is Stosh sends away Keenan Allen and my own 23 third-round pick, and I'm being offered for those two Chase Edmonds, Jacoby Myers, and a 23 second-round pick. So I get a replacement receiver, a running back in a situation where I need RBs. I'll bring the team up here in a second, and I'm getting my third bumped up into the second round. I put this on the show because I'm considering it as is. I don't necessarily like always countering. I will sometimes just hit accept on things in my inbox if they're reasonable.
Yep.
And I don't hate this trade. The big hang up for me on this one is, what is Jacoby Myers going to do? Can I afford to lose Allen? Yeah, this is the team about to put it up on.
I'm out on this trade. I don't like it.
Okay.
And I don't like it because I think Chase Edmonds is a landmine.
Okay. Yeah.
I like 2 touchdowns on terrible usage last week is to me a sell the hot potato before, or sell the bomb before it explodes.
Sure.
Time. And he's trying to do that to you.
Yeah.
There's like Keenan Allen's the best piece in this trade by a lot. I do not believe in Chase Edmonds based on usage. I did not know what to make of this backfield. And what I see is they don't believe. Remember, Chase Edmonds was the very first free agent signing.
Yep.
And we were going back and forth during one of our very first episodes. And I said I hated it. I hated that whole thing.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I hated it so much because it was enough that he was going to get work, but it was not enough money or commitment. And he's the wrong kind of back to get the kind of work that someone off the Shanahan tree is going to do. And then there was Raheem Mostert, and then there was Sony Michel, and Myles Gaskin is still there. Like, if Raheem Mostert goes down, they're not going to give Chase Edmonds that work. They're going to give it to Myles Gaskin.
So if I took Edmonds, I'm trying to think of a counter. I'm looking at this guy's roster. He's got like James Robinson and Connor. He's got KJ Osborne and Tyler Boyd. Like if I took the 2 skill position players out and just replaced them with a Robinson, is that a trade I should maybe make? Like Keenan.
Yeah, if you need to start Robinson.
I do. My RBs on this team suck. I got Dameon Harris, Jeff Wilson, and Kenneth Walker. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and so you don't need to start Keenan Allen, and you do need to start James Robinson. I like that. That is good. Chase Edmonds and Jacoby Myers, like you're going to regret owning both of those players. In my
No,
opinion.
I like it. I'm gonna put together a counter on the screen right now. I'm gonna cut those two guys out of the trade, and I'm gonna counter this deal for James Robinson instead of Myers and Edmonds both. So it'll be a 2-for-2 swap where I get a pick bump up and exchange Allen for Robinson. That's a trade I like.
Yep.
I'm sending that. Maybe it'll go through here before we wrap up. I'm not sure, but we put that out there.
Very good.
What you got for us, Greg? You got a little segment you want to take us through?
Okay, so all the shows, all the content producers in the dynasty space or the fantasy space, redraft 2, have their buy low, sell high segment, right? Because that's what we're all taught. Buy low, sell high. But every trade needs two people on the other end. And I thought we would do something different. We kind of played with it a little last week. I want to start doing buy high, sell low.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So every week, I want each of us to bring to the table one player we want to buy high on, meaning this player is at their highest ever value. Buy them anyway because it's still going up, right? So you be the guy who takes on the player that someone else is trying to sell high because you believe this is, buying into Apple stock early. And it seems expensive relative to where it was a month ago or 6 months ago, but it's going to seem cheap in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. And then one sell low where, someone else out there is going to be trying to buy low. They're going to try to buy the dip and you just hand your landmine off to them for whatever you can get. So these are the players who it's time to get out almost no matter what you get.
To exit. Vamoose.
Yes.
Abandon ship.
Yes. Let someone else think they're buying the dip and you take some value before the whole thing goes to zero.
Yeah, that's been...
So one buy high, one sell low. Who you got buy high?
I'm buying high. So we're buying a rising asset on Gabe Davis right now. That would be my opinion.
Okay.
I think, the sky's the limit for Gabe Davis, especially when you think about, who he's attached to. You think about as far as Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs getting older, and having a contract that expires in a year or two. As productive as Davis has been, he's a great blocker. They clearly just want him on the field all the time. I'm buying. Gabe Davis is rising. I'm in. I'm still taking him.
I love it. There may be a time where it's time to sell Gabe Davis because of some of the contract stuff, like next offseason.
Yeah.
Next offseason, he's going to be going into his 4th year, which is a walk year. But he's going to have a great rest of season. So I think you can buy him. At the very least, you'll get productive play from him this season. And then, unless barring injury, you'll be able to sell him for just as much next year, going into another year as Josh Allen's number 2.
I feel like they're probably going to extend him, right? I mean, he could walk.
I would think, and you never know. If they extend him, his value bumps. If he walks, that could affect him. But if he walks, that probably means he gets paid to be someone's number 1. Right, but that doesn't always work out. But even still, I feel like the floor is you can still trade him for everything you paid. Like you could trade a 23 first round pick for him now, play him in your lineup all season, and then trade him for a 23 first in February.
Sure could. Yep. It's a good way to stay water. It's kind of like what the New England Patriots did with Brandon Cooks. I remember they traded a first round pick to get him, used him for a whole season, then traded him to the Rams for a first round pick.
Absolutely.
I remember them doing that. I was like, wow, that's genius if you can do that. Who are you buying?
Absolutely. I am buying Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk.
I think, look, you are going to have to pay up for Christian Kirk. He has been terrific early up in the season, and you should just pay that. So somebody out there thinks Christian Kirk still stinks, and this is a small sample size, and
they'll sell him to you for a second round pick.
This is a wide receiver 3. Yeah. Oh, no. He's playing well. Pair of second round picks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right.
Second and a third. Yeah.
Right. Second and Van Jefferson. right?
Ooh, I would love to do that for
You,
Kirk.
you know what I
I would
mean?
sell in a heartbeat. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's somebody out there who's thinking about Christian Kirk the wrong way still.
Yep, I agree.
Or like they'll even give you him for, they'll give you Kirk and a second for your first.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I'd do that. I'd be interested in that.
right. I think there's a lot
Become
of
competitive.
ways.
Yeah.
You have to be competitive. Yeah. But Christian Kirk is 25 years old. He's attached to a breakout young quarterback with a good coach that wants to throw the football. He is the wide receiver one. He's in a warm weather environment, which means you're going to have throwing friendly weather in playoff time. So there are a lot of reasons to want Christian Kirk on your roster for 3 or 4 years.
He's making $1 gazillion, so
they cannot move him. Yeah. They cannot cut him. Right? Yes, he's making $1 gazillion. They're going to win that division and not have as high a pick again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there's just so much to recommend Christian Kirk as a guy who stays in the flames all year.
You think the Jaguars win the AFC South? That's something you think about?
I think they do.
You're putting it out there right now. Jaguars win the AFC South. I
think the Jaguars.
I love it. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's really that close right now. I think the Titans are lucky to not be 0-3, and I think the Colts are lucky not to be 0-3. I think both of those teams are lucky not to be 0-3. Yep. Now they're 1-2 and 1-1-1. Jaguars at 2-1, but the Jaguars are not unlucky to be 2-1. Let's put it that way.
Who's selling on the way down on?
You want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. I'm abandoning ship, and this hurts me to say, because this is one of the first players I loved in 2019 when I first started playing Dynasty. This is one of the first players that I was ever really in on, and one of those guys you make sure to get in all your leagues, and that's David Montgomery. With the emergence of Khalil Herbert this week, the injury to Monty, I've just, unfortunately, David Montgomery, your time has come in your contract year. They may tag him. They may just let him walk. It's just it's a lot of darkness in the future for Montgomery. I'm confident in saying his best games, his best seasons are in the rearview mirror, and I still like the talent. I still think he's a talented football player. I'd love to have him on my real NFL team, believe me, but. Mm-hmm. The sun is setting on David Montgomery, and if I could move him, if I could send him to a contender for a contender's 23 first, a later one, I would do that. You probably can't even get that for him right now, but
nope.
It was a good ride, David Montgomery, but I'm gonna let you go, brother.
Yeah, he turned out to be a really, really rock solid draft pick. Mm-hmm. If you took him with a high first round pick. He did not have a great rookie season, but he was on the field, and then he really kind of broke out quietly as a second-year player. He's in his 4th year. He's given you 2 really good years. This is his walk year. You got to imagine they're not going to pay him. I struggle to see how he's going to return value for you. And once these running backs hit free agency,
it's bad. It's bad news.
It's bad. Now, there's sort of a second life to these things, right? So I could imagine a buy window on him next offseason.
Sure.
During the free agency period, right? Like people may get down on his landing spot or something like that. And you know what I mean? Or it looks like a bigger timeshare and you go buy. But right now, I think it's a fantastic sell window on David Montgomery. I think it's worth selling, even if you have to take a hit because people are starting to believe in Khalil Herbert. You will not get the price you could have 2 weeks ago, and it's worth taking it.
Yep. Yeah,
I agree with you.
This is a time where I'm looking to I try to do this. What you want to do with these running backs is maybe move them straight across for a receiver. This is a move I've had success with in the past, taking an aging RB and trading for not a super old receiver, but one who's also on the kind of the back nine. But could have multiple seasons of productivity left. So like if I could take Monty and move him straight across for like, I can't even think of it. I mean, Christian Kirk's the guy we were talking about. I don't think you could get that. But I would be looking around. Like if I could take Monty and move him for Cortland Sutton, you probably can't do that either anymore.
Juju.
Yeah. I think that's a good. If I could take Monty and send him straight across for Juju Smith-Schuster, I would do that in pretty much any of my
That's the
leagues.
yeah. I think
I think
I
that's the
think you
trade.
and I think you
Yeah.
could do that.
I think you could probably do that. Yeah.
You might have to throw in a fourth. Like those are close guys. You throw in those extra pick, that late pick. It just says
Yeah.
you're getting you deserve a little taste. It doesn't matter
Sure.
to the trade. Like I think that is.
And Greg's breaking up a little bit on us. The point being, if you can sell Monty and
Oh,
no, you're fine. Sorry, you cut out. In the 2025 season, I could see someone like Juju still playing and being relevant and fantasy starter, and Monty might be out of football by then with some of these running backs we've seen him happen to. Todd Gurley being the horror story that comes to mind. You still there, brother?
yeah, I'm back. Okay, so my sell low is Allen Robinson. Did you get that? You hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. You're there, brother.
Okay, my sell low is Allen Robinson. Look, people are panicked over Allen Robinson, and I think they should be panicked over Allen Robinson, right? And so, if you have Allen Robinson, I feel like you are very close to being revealed as the one who, the time bomb explodes on, right? And if there is that one person out there in your league who thinks they're going to be crafty and buy the dip on Allen Robinson, you get that thing off your hands as fast as you can.
Oh yeah.
Because he is bad. I mean, just watch the tape. He is worse than Ben Skowronek. He is not as good a player as Ben Skowronek.
I agree.
He is not as good a player as Van Jefferson.
Yep.
Based on my memories of Van Jefferson, although he just went on a 4-week IR. Oh, by the way, sign Ben Skowronek to your dynasty rosters.
Yeah, pick him up.
Yeah, but Allen Robinson is bad. He is not a good player. He's behind Tyler Higbee for sure on the pecking order. He is not converting his opportunities. They are trying to force feed him the ball. It is not working. And he was terrible last year. As soon as people become convinced that he's not going to have a good year with Stafford this year, he will have no value.
If you could sell, I would be sending Robinson for like a 24 second round pick. That's maybe a trade you could get from someone who's trying to be sweet and make a move. I don't know if someone would let their 23 second go at this point for him because he's 29 years old. But if I'm a Robinson owner, I'm sending out flyers on him to most of my league mates trying to get out from that.
Absolutely. We're looking for other damaged pieces that have a better chance of recovering value.
Sure.
Is another thing is like you can go straight across for who's injured and straight across for Michael Gallup. That kind of thing. So somebody who their value is depressed now, but you have good reason to believe it will be back at some point, not that long from now. Because this value is going to zero. I mean, I guess all of our values go to zero in the long run, but but this one's not going to have this one will never go back up.
Yeah, that's fair to say. There's no rebound here. There's no bounce.
No.
Yeah, man. You got any other buys?
No, I'm gonna keep them in my pocket for next week.
Sure. All right, guys. So we want to get in here and touch base on the multiple first feature league for me and Greg is the 24/7 365 Dynasty. We unfortunately had a nail biter. We lost by 1 point in what was a duel of Monday Night Football. Saquon Barkley versus our opponent's CD Lamb. We were tied going into the game. We were 1 point deficit going into the game, and Lamb and Barkley scored almost the exact same number of points, and we lost by 1 point. So really, really close. There was 2 0-2 teams at the time going at it, and we got the short end of the stick. So you're seeing, unfortunately, our flagship team is 0-3 right now. Silver lining, we do have these 523 first-round picks chilling down here. But what do we do with this pile? I think it's fair to call it that at this point.
Yeah, well, look, this was always a gamble when you go take 5 first-round picks on, right? Like, we are running this in part to show where this can get you in a year.
Sure.
Right? This is a productive struggle experiment. But the first thing we were trying to do was take a shot at being competitive year one, right? And man, it was close. Barkley hit. Justin Fields being a disaster has really been the thing that has held us back in many ways.
I agree. Yeah.
I
think we could have had Rodgers instead of him in draft time.
But that's not the build here. That's not the build here.
Correct.
And by the way, Rodgers has been terrible.
Yeah, I haven't followed him that close. I don't own that many Rodgers. I don't really know.
I don't either, but oh gosh, well, let me look.
He's wide receiver. He's quarterback 26. Yeah, that's pretty.
Atrocious. Yeah, he's been terrible.
Yeah.
He has not been worth it. So we could have done better. We could have drafted a third quarterback somewhere who had more short term value, right? Sure. We could have made that move somewhere. We could have had 4 first round picks and like Kirk Cousins.
Tight end's been disappointing too. We started Jawan Johnson this past week and he bricked for us, which was big sad there. We wanted Schultz, but we weren't willing to risk his injury on Monday night. It was Jawan or Gesicki, and hindsight being what it is, but
I mean, well, Gesicki was 1.6 points.
Yeah, it didn't make a difference. It wasn't
right. Well, actually, what was the matchup? Actually,
it did make a difference, but it was they're so close. So
it would have 1.6 points from Gesicki would have made the difference.
Yes.
Well, that's disappointing now that I think about it.
No, we started Flacco over Fields, and Fields also his 1.5 point differential would have got us there as well.
Yeah.
Flacco's 4 turnovers though, so just depressing. We went with the volume is why we made that choice. You can see 52 attempts for Flacco versus Fields, who hasn't thrown more than 20 passes yet. But the turnovers just.
Fields has 45 attempts through 3 games. Flacco has.
He had more attempts than that this week.
He had more. He has 44 or more attempts in every game.
Yeah, there you go.
So, what are you gonna? I'll play Flacco. I will play Flacco again next week if Flacco starts. I don't think he's starting.
Yeah.
I believe he's out. I believe they've said it's going to be Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so I think Josh Allen we're keeping. You could sell him for a fortune, but I think we're definitely going to keep him.
Hold him,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So we're happy to keep Fields, and we've got all these young players. I don't think there's any reason, unless somebody comes for them, to go move on from Devonta Smith or Jahan Dotson or George Pickens or Chase Claypool. None of these guys, those are some of our better young assets. I don't think there's any reason to move on from those guys. Guys who during the course of the season I could see us moving on from. Also tight end. I like Gesicki, and I think he did not want to come back to that offense. It is not a good fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
He is on the franchise tag, and I would expect to see him leave.
Yeah. And
go somewhere where he's going to be a feature part of the offense next year.
He's a hold.
So I think he's a hold, a long-term piece. I actually like Jawan Johnson as a long-term piece too. For me, the guys who are going to have more value as sell pieces start with Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders.
Yeah, what are we doing with them? The struggle with Saquon is I could see Saquon being a contributing member to a championship run next year. He's under his 5th-year option right now, so he gets tagged maybe.
I don't think you can keep. I want to sell him when the value is there.
Well, he's the RB1 right now in fantasy football, so it's probably there. He's the PPR running back 1.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Chubb. I thought he was 2. Okay.
Yeah. They're real close in total points.
Yeah. I think you have to put him on the market. I think that's what we do. I think we put him up for sale right now.
All right, I'm listing him on the block right now. I'm about to do it.
Yes. I do not think we put Miles Sanders on the block.
No.
Because Miles Sanders just had his worst week of 3, but he has 45 carries and 6 targets in 3 weeks. So 15 carries and 2 targets per week on a top 5 offense. He will have a week where he goes for 130 and 2. and that's when you trade him. And you do not, in my view, we don't mess around. He's in his 4th year, so he's a walk also. You don't mess around with either one of these guys. Like, I don't want to hold them over the offseason. I don't want to hold Miles Sanders and see them draft a running back in the 2nd round. I don't want Saquon to get franchise tagged and be holding out. If you're rebuilding with 5 first-round picks and you're kind of tanking out for 1 overall,
Yep.
I think you move these pieces.
Yep.
The other pieces, who else do you think we could move?
Who else
during the course of the season?
Schultz.
I agree.
Probably, if he has a big game, we could probably find it out.
When Schultz gets healthy, I think that's a good spot. I think we should be looking for a tight end who is young and not contributing, and a pick.
Yeah, maybe that's what we look for as part of our Saquon deal, because we do want, like, we have 5 first-round picks, and we could probably grab a Michael Mayer or someone, but if we are going to push next year, I don't know about push, but attempt to be more competitive next year, whoever our tight end is on that roster is probably not a rookie, so maybe we got to look for like a Freiermuth or a Dallas Goedert plus a first, and then maybe something else like a I don't know, if we got like Dallas Goedert and a first and a second for Saquon, what would you think of an offer like that?
I don't mind that.
I'd be interested in something like that.
But I also don't mind. I really don't mind Gesicki and Juwan Johnson as your like early next year look, and then you add some pieces to that.
Like got Jelani and Ferguson hanging out too.
Yeah, Gesicki was tight end 7 and 9 the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he is. Really? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, he's been productive in 12.
Yeah,
years ago, absolutely. So 3 consecutive tight end 1 seasons.
Right. I think there is reason to believe that his usage is bad. Mm-hmm. And maybe he's just going to. This is what I meant when I was saying he's like a real hold for me. He looks like garbage. People don't want to play him. You can't trade him for anything. He didn't want to be there, right? He and Schultz are both tagged. He overtly did not like it. I think Schultz was kind of happy to sign the rich 1-year deal and call it a day.
We were offered Rashod Bateman and a 2nd-round pick for Saquon during this week. And
no, it's not enough.
I know it's not enough, but I'm saying for the listener, we turned that down, and I'm still sticking to my guns. I would continue to turn that down. If it was Bateman in a first, I'd take it.
High first and a low first, and I think that's Bateman in a first is equivalent valued to me. I think that's what, and then I think you want a first for Miles Sanders, or like a first and a piece that's like not performing, but you kind of like him, whatever that kind of piece is.
Yeah, I try to think of someone like that. I don't know.
Like Jelani Woods would have been that kind of piece.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at our roster, but like, oh yeah, that young tight end I like, and a 1st-round pick. So yeah, I think those are, and the other guy who is absolutely going to pop off and he's going to have a week where he is an auto start and we sell him, is Jerick McKinnon.
If we can't sell him, it's hard to sell 30-year-old tailbacks.
It is not hard to sell Patrick Mahomes starting running back when Clyde tweaks a hammy and is out 2 to 4.
All right, yeah, I'm on board with it.
Right, like at that moment, because look at Jerick McKinnon. He had 52% snap share last week. 52%.
Yeah.
He was the team's leading snap share, right? Clyde, 40%. Pacheco, 8%. Right? So he outsnapped Pacheco and Clyde together. So this is a guy who is going to have a week where he makes himself look like the back to own, either because he has a big week or because Clyde misses time. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be able to get something for him. 2nd-round pick. Hey, rent a flex-worthy running back. He's 2 starts, then Clyde comes back and you can still flex him.
I'm looking around the league. I'm wondering if we could sell like different trade offer potentials. Like this guy P. Middleton is the number 2 team, and like I'm thinking about offering him Saquon for like London and his 23 first. I think it's even worth sending.
Yes.
Yeah, let's send that out. And then he's got Hockenson. Would we do Hockenson in a first? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I'm kind of not. I'm not. If I am not that interested in investing in tight end, if it's not one of the big ones.
That's fair.
Like if it comes around, I'm interested, but I'm not willing to pay for names at tight end that are not Andrews and Kelsey.
Sure.
That's my view.
Well, some of these, I mean, I start at the top of the rankings list because these are the guys that are most going to be most looking for upfront assets. They're also people who have, if you're near the top of your standings in your league and you still have your 23 first, I mean, you know that it's going to be a lower pick, and you're probably looking, considering what value you could get for it. So I like to present those people with an offer. It's a high success probability.
Yeah.
Case Mez was the guy we were working with. I'm going to send him Saquon for Bateman in the first. I'm going to send him that. I mean, after Saquon's big game, maybe he's having.
Might just do that. Yeah.
The problem is his first is from someone else. It's from
and it's very high.
Yeah. Like, do we need to add something in there? Should we put our third round pick in there? We should probably add something.
Yes.
You think our third, or is it a player?
I don't think we have a good player.
Like he
didn't seem interested in McKinnon.
He didn't want any of our players after Saquon. He wasn't feeling any of them at all.
Yeah.
Does he need a quarterback? Nope, he's got Lawrence and Hurts. He's doing fine. Maybe we try to attack Lawrence. Do we ever move like Saquon and a pick for Lawrence? No, probably not.
Saquon and a second for Lawrence? I don't know. I do that.
I like that, and we'll throw Flacco in there with it. Let's try.
Yeah, and that would give us Allen, Lawrence, and Fields for the long term.
That's our own second round pick, which would be a pretty high second.
Oh, is that our only second?
We have two.
Give him the other one.
Give him the one from Treads. Is Treads any good? And Treads bad like we are.
No, keep those two. Actually,
right. It's so hard. Yeah.
Because we got 7 top 5 top. We have 7 top 14 picks as it runs.
Oh, we just got an offer. We just got Tony Pollard and Darnell Mooney offered for Saquon.
No,
it's not good. But I'm going to counter him. He's got Mac Jones, Dak. Maybe we could go for Dak, and he's hurt.
Who is it?
Tread 61.
Tread.
He's got T. Higgins down here. You ever offer Saquon straight across for Higgins?
No.
Dude doesn't have.
He doesn't have any picks.
Yeah.
He has the 24 first. He has Judy.
I like Judy. Maybe we ask for Judy and 24 first. Is that enough?
Nope. It is not enough for Saquon. Maybe we ask for Judy and Higgins.
Both. He's not. I don't think he would get on that. It's a lot. Those two guys.
I mean, he just told you he's not serious. That's my view of his initial offer.
Yeah. What, Higgins and the 24?
No. Ask for Higgins and Judy, and he'll say no, and he'll tell you if he's serious by whether he counters.
All right.
Right. Some people start low and are willing to go up, and some people are just messing with you.
Higgins and Pollard. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we could just send it.
No, I don't want.
All right.
2 good pieces.
Send it for the 2 receivers.
Not one piece and one meh.
I'm sending it.
Gosh, what about? No, this guy doesn't have the right pieces. I was looking at D Wags. He's got real need. He's in 5th place. He's got his first, but he doesn't have a lot of pieces I'd like with that.
No young guys that I want.
Would you take Romeo Dubs and a first and second? Oh, he doesn't have a second next year. Oh, he doesn't even have his 23 first.
He has no 23 picks at all.
That's
this guy's dead to us.
Oh, I'll take young players. No. If he had an Olave
to swap out for that. Players.
No. P. Middleton, let's see. Boom Roasted. What are you sitting on, Boom Roasted?
Jay Hunt's got DeAndre Swift. Maybe he's looking for a healthy piece instead. We could do.
Yes.
We could ask for Roasted's first, which is a late first plus Swift for Saquon.
Well, he's not going to give you Swift but you could give him. Would you take Swift for Saquon, like in a vacuum? Maybe you think you could get more, but would you give?
Would I take Swift for Saquon? That's a toughie. Yeah, I probably would if I don't care about the season. Just on if you're talking lifetime career moving forward, probably take Swift.
So maybe you offer him.
The healthy player is more valuable, so it's.
But he also has Jamal Williams, so he might actually feel fine sitting on Swift.
He's got Garret Wilson. You can ask for Garret Wilson in this late first in exchange for Saquon.
100%. I would take.
Let's send that. I'm sending that right now.
Yeah. Would you take both of Jay Hunt's first for Saquon?
Would I take both of Jay Hunt's first for Saquon? That's his own and Roasted. And he's middle and Roasted's top.
I would take that.
I would take. Yeah, let's try it.
So why don't you offer him 2 offers, both firsts for Saquon, and then Garret Wilson and the higher first for Saquon.
So it's his own first.
Oh, he also has Treylon Burks, by the way, which might be more gettable. Like if you could get. And then maybe the bottom line is I would take Garret Wilson in the lower first or Burks in the higher first.
I'm going to ask for Wilson in the higher first right now.
Ask for Wilson in the higher first.
All right, let's see what he says on that.
You know, this is interesting. He's also got some pieces I like Wan'Dale Robinson.
Does he need
like
a
if you need,
I don't know.
He has Russ, Tua, and Brissett and Mills, so he kind of does.
I'm just trying to figure out somewhere we get value out of Flacco. I don't think this would be it.
I don't think so. I don't think there's any. No, we lost that last week.
Yeah. When
we lost that
died.
Opportunity. Yeah. So this guy has a lot of pieces I like too, like Alec Pierce and Wan'Dale Robinson and Devin Duvernay and Rashad White. So like pieces that are not helping him that could be the third piece in a deal.
Yeah.
And he's got both Wilson and Burks. Treylon Burks is not ready to be a starter. This is a contending team. Do we have a? Would you offer Hunt?
Saquon.
Would you offer Jay Hunt?
Yeah.
Would you offer Jay Hunt, Saquon, and Sanders? For Garret Wilson and both firsts.
Yeah, that'd be sweet because that's like the trade we already proposed to him, but it's also send in Sanders for his other first, which I would do.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll send him one. Let's see what he says about it.
Mm-hmm.
This guy Dempsey, he's got Mark Andrews, Metcalf, Ayuk. Saquon for Andrews and 2 second-round picks.
Oh, I mean, I'd offer him Saquon and Schultz for Andrews and feel blessed if he took it. Honestly.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh, I think Andrews in this format, right? This isn't
tight end. This is straight tight ends.
Not tight end premium. Okay,
yeah.
I take that back.
I'll offer him that. I'll offer him Saquon and Schultz for Andrews, and I want 2 of these second-round picks that he has.
Sure, not Boom Roasted.
No, it's gonna be Chad
and Dempsey.
Yeah, I'm sending him it. Let's see what he says. I like that.
He's going to say no because I'm looking at his roster and he's not going to compete. Maybe I'm wrong, but I look at he's got a lot of the pieces I would have if I was soft tanking. You know who's a piece that I'm interested in is Noah Brown.
Yeah, he's interesting. Yep.
He's 26 years old and he's a free agent at the end of the year. So he's a guy who might go on ice having had a few good games.
Yeah.
And get a contract. That's a piece I would be interested in adding. Let's see, Chadster. I think we're about out of people who are going to want to trade us. Who are going to want to trade 4 running backs.
I think we're about out of time for this this episode as well. We're about 90 minutes here.
Yep, let's call it.
Yep.
Well, it's been a pleasure, everybody. Like and subscribe.
Do it. Like, subscribe, comment, hit me up in the DMs. Keep sending your trades to me, guys. We'll do more trade reviews in the future. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, all my first-round picks out there. And look for us again next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's when we like to record. Have a good one, boys. Good luck this week. Good luck in week 4. Good luck this season. We out of here.